Lee Miller was an extraordinary woman. I'm hoping perhaps people will discover her as that version of Lee, the Lee that we depict in our film during that defining decade of her life, and I'm really incredibly proud of it.
Kate Winslet, welcome back to Heart's Evening Show. How are you?
Good to see you, very good.
I feel like you're basically a friend of the show at this point.
I feel like that too. I mean, I recognised you waiting outside patiently in the hallway. So yeah, we've got something going.
I realised, by the way, I totally projected onto you my inability to remember names and faces. So when you recognised me, I was like, couldn't possibly, Kate doesn't know who I am, but you did. That's so nice.
Yeah, totally. And you've even done your hair the same way as it was the last time I saw you. It's true, I remember.
I was going to say, I've either left a good or a bad impression.
A very good one. I'm a big believer in men with lots of hair. So yeah, big tick from me.
What a compliment. By the way, last time you were on, people remarked on how you have a perfect voice for a late night evening show. I don't know how that makes you feel.
Do I? I don't know. Now I feel like I'm suddenly adopting late night evening show voice. Hello and welcome to Heart.
Lates with Kate.
Free with Lee. I'm just...
Congratulations on your new film, Lee. Obviously based on the incredible life of Elizabeth or Lee Miller. I think it's bonkers we didn't learn about this person in history. I mean, what an incredible story. When did you first discover this person, and why did you think it was so important to tell their story?
Well, if I may, to your previous point, you're right, it is bonkers that a lot of people really don't know who she was at all. And I think that's largely because she lived a section of her life in her 20s in New York and then in Paris as, quote unquote, the former muse of Man Ray, ex-model, former cover girl. These kind of slightly infantilizing, irritating labels that apply to a very small sliver of her life that she walked away from very quickly. She actually hated being a model, and she famously said, "I'd rather take a picture than be one." Lee Miller was an extraordinary woman. As a middle-aged woman in her 40s, she went and photographed the front line and what was happening in World War II, and she just didn't believe in hiding behind the truth. She wanted to reveal the atrocities of what was happening within the Nazi regime for the female readers of British Vogue. And it is only now that I'm hoping perhaps people will discover her as that version of Lee, the Lee that we depict in our film during that defining decade of her life, and I'm really incredibly proud of it.
That is awesome. Now, Kate, I've heard...
Totally didn't answer your question at all, but I answered one that I wanted to answer instead.
I heard you love a table, and you also managed to get hold of Lee Miller's actual table at auction.
I do love an auction, actually. I really do love an auction. You know, my husband very recently tried to get for me a badge that was given to all the female suffragettes who went to prison and came out the other side as a badge of honour, and he was outbid, but he did find me a replica on Amazon which cost him £7, so he got me that instead, which I was very grateful for. But yes, I did buy at auction in 2015 a table that was in the home of Annie and Roland Penrose. They were brother and sister. Roland Penrose at the time was in a relationship with Lee Miller. And I thought, oh my God, I've got to get it. And a friend of mine called me, she works in this auction house. She said, Kate, you've got to get this table. So I did. And yes, it does have pride of place. And that was the beginning of my journey with the story. I thought, why hasn't anyone made a film about her? Cut to 9 years later. I now know why no one made a film about her, because it was such a massive challenge, but I did it. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe I'm really sitting here and I don't have to keep trying to make the film. We've actually done it. It's actually coming out. And now here I am talking to you. It's still quite weird for me.
Well, it's been amazing for me. Always a pleasure. Kate, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
This is Heart.